I think that WWE, like, I think that there's like, I have this conspiracy theory that there's a magic book full of gimmicks that they just like give to people randomly. And I think when you talked about her just being crazy and running around, I guarantee you that Shotzi is the female version of what they wanted Pete Dunne to be when they told him he was going to be Butch.
But let's get into it. Let's get into the War Games that started off this pay-per-view. It was the women's War Games match with Charlotte Flair coming out with unicorn horns on her shoulders that I didn't care for because I love Charlotte Flair, and I was like, "Why you got those on your shoulders, my dude?" Because they were like limp too. And then Bianca Belair. In previous episodes, we've always been like, I think she's going to lose the braid eventually. And she shocked us this pay-per-view by having not one, but two braids.
She did. And she used those braids very well in this match. I'll say that.
Shotzi, which I don't know why Shotzi was there, but she was looking as Hot Topic as ever with those spikes. Did Shotzi... Well, we'll talk about it, but I don't know.
I can't see you, by the way, but keep going.
Okay. And then Becky Lynch, who came out in like very reserved gear, which kind of got me like stoked on the match.
Did you notice that everybody else on Becky's team had like matching colors except for her? What was the deal with that?
No, I didn't.
What was the deal? Well, I don't know if it was not matching colors, but they all had extravagant outfits. And she was just like...
And she's the one that usually has extravagant outfits and came out in just that, yeah. But it got me hyped. Like, because she started off the match, right? And, like, her walking to the ring, I was like, yeah, some bad shit's about to go down. But then on the other side, you had Damage Control. So you had Bayley, Kairi Sane, Asuka, and Io Sky. On the same team. Kairi Sane, or they all came out in the Asuka mask, which was cool. I thought it was really cool. They just looked badass. And Bayley started off the match, so you had Bayley and Becky against each other, which is always like a good feud. But what I saw right off the bat was I was like very into Bayley for the first time in a while. Like she was like laying shit in. The punches looked good as hell. Everything was getting set up really well. I don't think there was like a botch in this whole match. Like,
dude, they definitely put out a very solid outing. Like I will say off bat, I liked this match better than the men's ones. Honestly.
Yeah, I definitely can say that I liked it better than the men's one.
And Io Sky, dude, she is so over. Like it's crazy to me. Well, not crazy, but it's rare nowadays. I feel like that people get over strictly off of their like wrestling, and like she's so good that people just love her. Like you can just hear the crowd whenever she does moves. They're like, ooh, ah, like it's like, dude, she's so over. Man.
I mean, the crazy spot in this. Definitely put her like even more over for me, just like being like bye bye and going into the fucking trash can.
According to Moretta, she's done that before, but I don't remember. That's the first time.
I must have skipped whatever pay per view that was, but
that's the first time I saw that. That was insane. I was like, yo,
it was well done. Like there wasn't a lot of like you. That's the thing with those, and I think Moretta pointed this out too when we were watching everything and. It's like a lot of those spots are kind of weird because you have to stand there and set it up for a while.
You got to
with everybody just looking up, being like, I guess I'm getting flipped on, you know. But I feel with the EO one, they were all kind of wrestling in the ring, and EO just kind of like snuck off, and then they all turned around and got hit by it.
It was set up really well.
Did it in a way where everybody.
It was set up really well, and I think what's even more impressive about that spot is the fact that even though she did that with the trash can on, it didn't overshine when Charlotte did the moonsault because that was still just as fucking crazy. Like, did you see when Charlotte
came down? The moonsault
was
crazy, and she kicked the fuck out of someone. Who did she kick in the head?
That's what I was saying. She kicked. I think it was Io. She kicked the shit out of Io. Like,
but she's the best. So I don't give a shit, and I bet Io didn't care either because Io's still champ.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought this match was so good. Bianca was like putting on a show. Everybody was like working well together. There didn't seem like there was kind of an outlier except for Shotzi. I don't know what Shotzi is, but
I'll say this about Shotzi. I'll say this about her. I felt the same way going into this match. Me and my girl both felt this way because like we always joke around in this household that the moment that Shotzi had a match with Ronda Rousey and like they tried to make it a serious thing and like we all knew she was going to get her ass beat, that's what kind of buried her. I like that she's reinventing herself with the Liberty Spikes. You know, it's not for everybody, but it's something different. I will say, though, if there was anybody who was going to be the odd person out in this match, it was her. And she held her weight. And that goes to my prediction for this match. I thought that Damage Control was going to win because if you look at the lineup, who's taking the pin? Shotzi, right? So the fact that she didn't take the pin and her team won really kind of took me off guard, and maybe I haven't been paying enough close attention. I heard people say that they think that, you know, Bayley's going to get the boot soon or whatever, but I thought that Damage Control was going to win, and I thought Shotzi was going to take the pin. She did a lot to, I don't know if she did a lot to improve her stock, but she definitely showed she belonged to be there, so I give her that.
She did. All right, so definitely once it got rolling, she was in the mix and she was doing really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And definitely like grew in stock with me from where she was before. I just don't like the like Punk look on any. It seems like an old man's like idea of what like Punk today is still Punk from the 80s, but with like cool logos on your back or you know, like it's just weird.
The thing that kills it for me, and not to spend too much time on Shotzi, but it's like, if you're going to have a gimmick like that, right? And I know you have something to say about another group of mall goths here later.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have a gimmick like that, you have to have the charisma and the mic skills to kind of like justify it. And Shotzi is just so bad in the backstage interviews. And her song is like, I'm a psycho. And it's like, dude, this is so corny.
Like, this would be cool. I think in like I don't know if they're just trying to be like, this is the new Ruby or something, but like,
I hope not.
But it's like,
because you can't be Ruby, you know, she can at least.
But like Shotzi, what she did initially is what got me like being like, all right, is she just gets way too hype, when she gets in the ring and then just like flies around. And it just takes away from the like mesh that's going on in the ring. Because she did this the last time I saw her was in the WrestleMania match where she was supposed to come out in a tank or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope she gets better and just slows down. Like that's all.
You made a really good point, and I think that WWE, like, I think that there's like, I have this conspiracy theory that there's a magic book full of gimmicks that they just like give to people randomly. And I think when you talked about her just being crazy and running around, I guarantee you that Shotzi is the female version of what they wanted Pete Dunne to be when they told him he was going to be Butch. but Pete Dunne is so good that he made that into something better than what they wanted it to be. If you had to give him that to anybody else other than Pete Dunne, they would have been looking like a piece of shit. You know what I mean? So, you know, WWE.
Bring back Pete Dunne, please.
I think he's coming back. I think he's coming back soon because him and Ridge they're having a little beef right now. So
okay, yeah. I'm fine with it. At the end of the match, and oddly enough, we didn't talk about it on the last episode, but I did my predictions. All of my predictions came through true, and I was just kind of guessing on some of these, but not knowing the Damage Control like storyline and not knowing how kind of over they are right now, and everybody thought they were going to win, I was just like, oh, Bianca and Charlotte are in this, and Becky, they're going to win. Like, there's no way.
Should have went on DraftKings. Maybe you should have put that money down on DraftKings. Sponsorship.
Does WWE have DraftKings too? But yeah, they won, and I guess it furthers the angle of Bayley leaving. and that group becoming even better in my eyes, and let Bayley go off and like do a solo run again, because I'd rather see that from Bayley at this point.
100%. Bayley needs to go back to the solo act.
Yeah. And I mean, just like Kairi Sane, Asuka, and Io Sky as a group, that's like domination. You know, like you don't need anybody. They just need to come out and beat people's asses like the women's version of the Shield or something. You know, like it's just
for
like,
sure.
Just a bunch of big ass bullies. But yeah, they won that match. The aftermath, you see Bayley kind of like, I can't find my group or whatever. It was a cool thing. And I'm excited to see where that story goes.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. If you enjoyed this clip from the podcast, then be sure to smash that like and subscribe button, eat your vitamins and say your prayers, and check out the full podcast, brother, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts right now.